They put in inner monologues and first-person view of Kirito this episode. Oh my god. You don't know. Okay, right now, I am a light novel reader, as you all know by now. Once again, they're adding in everything. Like, literally everything is being added. Yes, they're cutting out just a little bit with the inner monologues, but not enough to where I can put it down. They're actually adding in even some filler scenes that technically were in the light novels. It astounds me that they're following these light novels. I mean, they're finally learning their fucking mistakes from season 1. Oh... You realize, I understand a lot of anime watchers, as they've been saying for the past 3 episodes now, this is the 4th episode, been saying that it's incredibly boring, nothing is going on, they're tired of it, they want it to go faster, they want to get to the action. I understand, and as I've said many times, Sword Art Online, or Gun Gale Online, is focused on the story and the characters. It was never meant to be about that action. And to see these characters actually getting developed with this episode and these past episodes shows you that they actually fucking care. They care. They're trying to right the wrongs they did in the first season with that abomination that was the Fairy Dance arc, and even the first arc, because it still was bad. And to see how they're actually adding in these different, key character development scenes, especially scenes that I thought they would just completely have cut with this episode, but they add, for instance, okay? When you see that entire scene where Kirito's holding his photon sword or lightsaber, whatever name you want to call his new sword, and you see him moving around, using his moves and stuff, those were the different moves he was using in Sword Art Online, the different combos he was using. And to see those reenacted, it just shows you that his body has become adapted to playing that game for over 2 years. Like, let me explain, okay? Let's say you did a lot of repetitive things over and over again, okay? You constantly picked up a certain object all the time for a couple months, okay? Or a year or two. Most likely, you'd be able to do that without looking at her or unconsciously. Well, Kirito, in the light novels, they technically skipped over this in the first season of SAO. So I want to right this wrong right now. The reason why Kirito has godlike looking abilities to where he can dodge like fucking insane like a madman like this episode is because of him training in SAO 1. The first season. They didn't explain the dialogue and the backstory and the different things Kirito had to do in the first season. And that is why I'm excited the way they're actually adding in these key scenes in this series. Because now people won't look at Kirito as like, oh, he's a fucking god, he's hacked and all that type of stuff. In a certain sense, I guess you can say Kirito is kind of hacked, but he's not. The reason why he is so strong at reflexes and being able to see things, all that, is because he trains the same moves over and over and over again in SAO, their first original arc. He did it over and over, and since, SAO, Ironclad, is, focused on all the big MMO games, for instance, every single MMO is linked to SAO, the original source material, okay? They all have those moves. For instance, they all have those moves that were in Sword Art Online. That's why Kirito was able to use that. That is one thing they did cut out with this episode. They cut out those inner monologues where Kirito was talking about the moves, how it reminded him of SAO, and how he could actually use them. That's why he was shocked. And at the same time, when you saw him flip the sword around and try to put it on his back, that was, the things he constantly did in the original SAO game. For instance, he would constantly put his sword on his back, and then it would go away into his inventory. And that is what has happened after him using it and doing stuff like that for so long. For instance, for 2 years in the game, he had to do that, and so it caused him to where he gotten used to doing that, like putting away a sword like that. So, of course, it would be hard to break that type of habit. So, it's shocking how they're adding in these key character elements with Kirito, and they're actually not skipping over them. Now, I wanted to explain that for anyone who didn't understand. Kirito trained his mind, technically, for 2 years, doing the same things over and over again, dodging and all that, and it caused his mind to reflex correctly. For instance, it could reflex to different things at the moment. And that's exactly what happened, and technically, it's a proven thing. Technically, that could happen to humans, because, I mean, if you were to do the same thing over and over, you would get good at it. So, that's why he's able to have such godlike reflexes. So, I like that a lot. Now, there's one thing here I'm going to say. majority of anime-only watchers are probably going to say, once again, this episode was boring. They want to see nothing but fucking action, and they want to get to the BOB tournament already. Which I understand, yes, which it will be very soon. But the big thing here, okay, is that they're doing the proper setup, the build-up, the character development for those scenes. And if they didn't, you know, everything would be ruined for the upcoming arc. I mean, this is the 4th episode, okay? And technically, we're still in the prologue of, you know, Gun Gal Online, technically, if you think about this. So, the way they're doing this, the way they're adapting Gun Gal Online or SAO2, it looks to me like this might be like a 15 to 18 or even 24 episode, you know, SAO2. For instance, I'm saying is this entire arc might be the entire SAO2. And if it is, oh my god, you don't know how I feel about this, because this is just amazing. That the story Gun Gal Online has to show is so great. It really is, when you get to see it developed. And if they continue this pace with the development and all that, I mean, everything that's going to go on, everybody's just going to have a fangasm over certain scenes. Now, I want to bring up one other thing. In episode 2, I talked about the prediction lines, for instance, the line of sights in MMORPGs, and I talked about how they did not explain it in that scene when Shion was doing, you know, her line of sight with the machine gun behemoth. Well, in this episode, they took the time to explain that, which at the same time, I like it the way they did in this. It made a lot more sense the way, you know, Shion was explaining to Kirito about the prediction lines, and so I'm glad they cleared it up, but still, I'm glad they explained that, and at the very least, people now understand, you know, where it came from and why, you know, Shion was able to dodge certain specific bullets in episode 2. But overall, the episode looked fucking amazing. I mean, there were some scenes that looked really phenomenal. For instance, the first-person view of Kirito in this episode, when you see his eyes blinking right at the beginning of the episode, I'm like, what the fuck? It just looked so good. It did. And I mean, the way the gun looked, all that, the way it moved around, it just, they're actually putting in first-person view line of sight for Kirito and showing his perspective to the audience. And that just, you realize how rare that is? Honestly, in an anime, that is rare. And to see it like this, how they're actually doing this, just shocks me. It does. Now, I love the episode how Kirito just completely bossed that fucking machine, won all the money, and he just destroyed. I mean, seriously, got all the money. He's like, I want to buy that photon sword. Just, it is so great. I mean, seriously, I promise you all right now, this series is going to get better and better, because the pacing has been absolutely insane. People can complain and say it's slow. People can say that they want it to go faster, which, no. If they cut out certain specific scenes in this, for instance, this entire Shion bit talking to Kirito, it would have killed core development in future episodes. Honestly, all these episodes we have seen from Gun Gal Online have been very important. There has been specific scenes that aren't, very little, but there has been some scenes, but I am happy they're adding it in. It's to prove that they're trying to adapt this properly. So, from this episode, I feel like my faith and hope and my hype is raising by the episode, honestly. I mean, after I watched the first SAO Season 1, okay, it was good as an anime when I first watched it. And honestly, I went to go read the light novels. And then when I read the light novels, my mouth hit the floor with how much they cut out. I was disgusted. I really was. But to see how they're doing this, and they're doing justice, it really, it's something you normally never see. It's like what's going on with the Kamiga Kill at the moment. I mean, this is rare. I'm so glad anime companies haven't given up faith in the original source, and they're still trying to stay true to the original source. So, overall, everybody, tell me your thoughts about this episode. What do you feel about the entire bits with Kirito's monologue where he talks about how he's good at racing games? That core development was cut out also in SAO 1. We didn't find out nothing about that. We didn't find out Kirito used to play games all the time outside. For instance, he didn't play racing games. We didn't find out about that. And they finally sat down and told us that, why he's good at freaking racing on dirt bikes and shit, or that motorcycle at the end of this. So, I'm glad they did that, I really am. So everybody, tell me your thoughts about this episode. Anime-only watchers, let me know, honestly, in the comments below how you feel about these recent episodes. Let me know if you think it's slow. And I promise you right now, it will speed up with your action you want to see if you're still thinking you want to see nothing but action, because you will have a lot of it. And honestly, all you light novel readers, how do you feel to see this being adapted like it is? Oh yeah, one other thing I want to clarify, all light novel readers, please do not spoil anything past these events that happen in this episode, because I want to keep everybody spoiler free. So everybody, you have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.